everyone. So today we're gonna have a Halloween special. I'm gonna share with you some scary stories, and these are true stories that I heard, from my students. And this is especially to people who want to learn singing, but have no idea what kind of dangerous traits of a teacher they should recognize, and stop lessons if they happen to encounter this kind of teachers. Or if you are already taking lessons from a teacher and you just feel like it's not going well and you're not sure why, I hope this video gives you more insights to, how a vocal teacher should not be like. So once again, like I said, these are true stories that I know of, heard of. Most of them are from my students actually. Okay, so housekeeping announcement first. My membership is up. Okay, so finally I've decided to commit to this thing for the long haul, and I will be churning out videos, to share with all of you. So I will have members only videos where I share special insights, especially for vocal analysis and stuff like that. So if you want to, you can start subscribing now to the members area, because basically my first vocal analysis about Fauzia will be up and accessible to members only first, okay? All right, so now we're going into trick or treat, the 5 types of horrible singing teachers that you should run on first sight. All right, so the first one is what I call the shout to sing high notes teacher. And I honestly didn't know that there are teachers like that. Basically, the shout to sing high notes teacher is like that. They want you to sing high notes, but they don't really teach you the techniques of how to sing high notes. And they tell you to shout to try to hit the high notes, okay? So the first story is actually a little boy who was taught by a very distinguished teacher. And I think many people know about this teacher, I don't want to say the gender, in the music scene. And basically he got his vocal cords damaged because he was told to keep shouting to reach the high notes, and I think he got some polyps or nodules in the vocal cords. And as a result, he couldn't sing high notes anymore. So that was really, I think, quite traumatizing for the boy. And I just want to say, if you take singing lessons, or even if you don't take singing lessons and you try to figure out how to sing high notes by yourself, you should never feel like you have pain, or hoarseness. Hoarseness is the first sign of like something is not right. But if you feel pain, you are just creating problems for your vocal cords, because pain is never good for anything in life, right? So even though we say no pain, no gain, but not this kind of pain, okay? You want to be sure that you're not physically feeling pain when you train for singing or when you experiment with singing. Once you feel pain, it's a no-go. It's like whatever you're doing is wrong already, okay? Even if it's something that you need to do because your teacher asked you to do that, if you feel pain, it's definitely wrongly executed, okay? So make sure you're aware as a singer, as a singing student, okay? So the second story of the shout to sing high notes teacher is actually one of my students who I've always seen her as a keyboardist, because I knew her from a music college. So she always played for other students, and her major was piano, keyboard anyway. So she applied for a job in the music center, and the boss asked her to teach singing as well. And she only gave her a 1-hour training and then expect her to start teaching singing. When I hear about stories like that, right, I feel it's the ultimate insult to singing teachers and singers, because somehow people have this idea that if you sing pretty well, then you can start teaching. And I say this, I admit, with a little bit of hypocrisy because back in my days when I was really, really young, I also started from a music school, and the music school never really asked for like music certification. The truth was I could sing and I was performing, and it was assumed that I could teach as well. But of course, it's not really true. Especially after I hear so many horrible stories like that, I realized that the standards for music schools can be quite low because it's after all a business, and there's not enough trained teachers that they can find. And so sometimes if they see somebody who can sing pretty well perform in a pub and they are like, hey, do you want to start teaching singing to supplement your income? That's what I used to do, so luckily for me, I was learning from my German classical singing teacher who was teaching me the right things, and that's why I could teach and immediately see results in my students. But I imagine if I didn't have him at that time to teach me the proper techniques, and if I were to just go through textbooks and say, okay, this is what the textbook says, head voice resonance, whatever, right, I don't think I could bring about the results. Yeah, and that's only if I really bothered to even buy textbooks to try to learn how to teach singing. Anyway, that's my story. But what I mean is that this is a true story. My student was trained for an hour before she was pushed to start, teaching singing. And she was trained during the 1 hour by this particular vocal coach to shout, to sing the high notes, okay? So she told me that that's what the whole school was doing, because every singing teacher who, before teaching had to go through vocal training with this particular vocal coach, whom the boss trusted very much. She told me that she could hear the whole school basically shouting. All the students were shouting to hit the high notes, and it's a pretty common scenario to have the students feeling hoarse, at the end of the lesson. And I was thinking, oh my God, that is so not right, because I think they don't understand the kind of damage that can be done to the students, and it's so disrespectful to the students' body, to the students' time, and of course money and effort, because you're not teaching the right things. Anyway, this is the shout to sing high notes teacher, okay? So going on next to the original key teacher. Okay, so this is actually interesting. I have heard of some teachers who forbid their students to change key, meaning that if today I come to learn singing from you and you're my teacher, I'm like, no teacher, this is too high for me. I can't sing this key. I can't sing as high as Tori Kelly, Then he or she will tell me things like, no, you can't change key. If you change key, then you cannot expand your vocal range, so you must try your best to sing the high notes. No changing key, no down key, whatever, right? I mean, okay, this is the worst way, one of the worst ways to learn singing, because basically you are impeding the learning, okay? So the right way to expand your vocal range is ironically to lower the key to a suitable key for yourself first at whatever stage you are right now, because when you're singing lower, you can actually execute the techniques better. Like when you're singing slightly lower, you find it easier to raise the soft palate to a certain point, and you find it easier to breathe low and support, for those slightly lower notes, okay? But if you force yourself to sing really, really high that your instrument is not ready for, okay, you end up having to activate a lot of compensatory muscles in order for you to hit the high notes, okay? So I do have teachers who refuse to let the students, lower the key. But at the same time, I have students who refuse to lower the key during the lessons, and no matter how much good intentions I have, they just feel like I can do it. And this is, of course, a personality, and I feel that it's tied to ego. And I really hate to say this, but I think when I was younger, I was a bit like that, and that's why I understand it's about ego. Like you want to feel good enough. Like if you can't sing the original key, you sort of don't feel good enough. Like you feel inferior just because you have to lower key, even if it's for temporary measures, like just to let your muscles to have time to work out, to gain strength and agility before you level up to a higher key. Yeah, so if you are somebody like that and you want to learn singing, I'm telling you right now that this is the slowest way to learn singing, because even if you think that you're executing the right singing techniques, you are still slow compared to another batch of students who agree to sing using a lower key and then letting the muscles have time to exercise and to gain strength and agility. You will lose out, because whatever you're doing right now with the original key is that you are at the same time activating the compensatory muscles in order for you to hit the high notes. Okay, so one thing about learning singing is that you want to be able to find the right key so that you deactivate the wrong muscles, right? Because it's so easy to just hit the high notes, like squeezing yourself, screaming, and using all the screaming muscles that are not sustainable. But if you want to train properly, you do need to find the right key for yourself. And usually the vocal range will expand even if you don't want to. I mean, I have another story to share about a student who refused to up key. She told me, I only want to sing -3 all the time. Like, I don't want to change key. I never want to sing original key. And I had to tell her, if you train with me, you have no choice but to adjust your key as you learn more and more. Because, as you learn how to manipulate your soft palate more, as you learn how to breathe deeper and, support better, you will feel like you're stuck if you're still singing a -3 key. Yeah. So I think the thing about singing is that you need to give yourself time. Okay. Anyway, so this is the original key teacher, and it doesn't make sense because if you think about it, Adele would never agree to sing Tori Kelly's key. Think about that. Tori Kelly and Ariana Grande, they are super high sopranos. Adele is not a soprano one, okay? She would never, over her dead body, right? She would never agree to sing their key, okay? And if you think about like Chinese singers, for example, like Anita Mui would never sing the original key of Arlene or Ame. It's just not. It's just not like over their dead bodies. I'm not gonna like just to prove I'm good enough and sing those high keys, to match Ame or Arlene. It doesn't work like that, So you have to see yourself as an artist, and find what's the best key for yourself, at any stage of your training. An artist means that you are centered. You know what's best for you, and you don't try to compare, because then the comparing never ends, right? The whole point about an artist is that you are you. You're so authentically you. People want to be like you. So don't be the fan, okay? You want to be the artist where you are so sure about what's good for you, your tone, your key, and your style, So this is what we like about artists. They seem to have it all. They know what's good for them, and they have a distinct flavor in the singing. Anyway, I'm just rambling on and on. But what I'm saying is, there's a reason why we have voice types. We have things like bass, baritone, tenor, countertenor. We also have contralto, alto, mezzo-soprano, soprano, soprano 1 and 2, that kind of stuff. So it just tells us, it informs us where the weight of your singing is. Like, it feels more comfortable. So everybody's different, okay? And so if, for example, you are an alto or a mezzo-soprano like me, you would not want to sing in a Tori Kelly key just because you want to prove that you can, okay? It doesn't work like that, okay? So if your teacher refuses to let you sing in a down key or adjust the key, in order to make you feel more comfortable, run. So the third category of scary teachers or scary vocal lessons that you should be aware of, okay, is what I call the fiery teacher. And these again are true stories, okay? So I actually heard of a student telling me that her friend refuses to quit a teacher and join my class, with her, together with her, with my student, because she prefers this particular teacher that she's still with, because this teacher really scolds her. And she loves strict teachers who will like scold her, like, like a child, like say, no, do this, yeah, so I was actually shocked when I heard that, because I was like, wow, why would people like to be scolded? But I suppose, there are different kinds of people in the world, and if you are somebody like that and you don't want a teacher to be too nice to you, I want you to consider another perspective, which is, if you want to sing well, it doesn't benefit your instrument, your body, if your body is always tensed up and sort of under duress. Of course, under duress is like a big word, right? Like, it's like you're not in any danger, like your life is not in danger, but it's the stress and the mindset of like, oh, I'm always doing something wrong, and oh no, like she's not happy with me, and I need to get everything right so that she's not unhappy or scolds me. The kind of energy, when you're in such an environment, it's actually really, really hard for you to sing high notes. Why is that so? Because when we sing high notes, one of the things that we need to try to train so hard is to, number one, open up the body. Okay, so when you are scared or a little frightened or a little bit stressed up, okay, the body's like go-to default reaction is to close. And you may even like sing like that with the head down a little bit, because you're maybe sometimes a bit ashamed that you got it wrong, or like you're just like, it's a defensive posture, to close your body kind of thing when you're stressed up, okay? So you want to feel safe to open up your body and to have the head, I wouldn't say up, but not like that, you know what I mean? Yeah, so you want to be sure that you feel safe and secured, and you feel safe to express yourself, to express your emotions. So number one, you do want to open up your body. Number two, you do not want to feel tension in your body. And that's the thing about singing high notes. You're learning two things actually. You are learning techniques to execute the high notes, but you're also at the same time trying to learn how to let go of body tension. Because if you only know techniques to sing high notes, your instrument can still be very tensed up. And I feel that the body tension can only be removed when you feel really safe and secure. Like you don't feel being judged, you don't feel like unsafe to try again kind of feeling. So and these kind of things is that the tension creeps up so slowly, and sometimes you don't even notice it. And that's why I don't really agree with the fiery teacher kind of teaching style, because you stress up the students and inevitably the body closes up and there's tension in the body. And when the body closes up, it's actually really hard to shout, It's almost like, like, can you imagine now, you are a bit timid, a bit scared, a little bit, like trying to keep a distance and trying to like, okay, I'm trying to get things right kind of energy. And then I ask you to shout loudly and express yourself. It's a very, clashy kind of setup. When you really want to shout and express yourself and sing with power, it's a very different body setup compared to the, oh, I'm so scared I'm gonna like do it wrong, Yeah, so that's not a good setup, okay? And also remember that when your body posture is closed, a little slouchy and like defense mechanism mode, it's actually harder to breathe deeper and to open up your rib cage, okay? So be aware of all these conditions for singing high notes powerfully, okay? Anyway, now we go to the fourth horrible, scary teacher, which is the Snappish Teacher, okay? So the Snappish Teacher is like a close relation of the fiery teacher, okay? Because, and again, these are true stories. I'm not like making things up. And it horrified me when I hear this kind of stories, because I'm like, who are these people? But there are teachers like that. Okay, the first one, okay, is when I was teaching in a music college, my student told me that she used to learn from this like a principal teacher of a music school, very distinguished one, and she actually went to her house, to take lessons. And it's so strange because if she arrives 1 minute earlier and presses the doorbell 1 minute earlier, the teacher would snap at her and say, "You're early. Don't come so early next time." And if she presses the doorbell like 1 minute after, she'll be angry and say, "You're late. Why are you late?" So true story, she actually had to stand at the door, wait for the lesson time, 12 p.m. for example, and then press the doorbell. Ding dong. And then she wouldn't get scolded, I can't believe it. I mean, but I would not believe it. But because she told me this story, I'm like, wow, okay. Okay, another story is, I think it's the same teacher. Because she has the attitude of like, because I rub shoulders with celebrities, so you should feel so grateful that I'm giving you time now, like you're also in my presence, so she had that kind of like snobberish air. Yeah, so I think it's down to a kind of snobbery, like, yeah, because I'm the principal of the music school, so, and I, vocal produce some artists, and, I rub shoulders with some celebrities, and so you should feel so happy to be in my presence, But that's total rubbish because the student pays for your lesson time, right? And you charge for the time, so just deliver the lesson, okay? So anyway, another student told me that she used to study with a classical singing teacher, and the singing teacher would just always make snide remarks about like, still too pop, still pop, still too pop, it's just still too pop. And these kind of comments, right, actually doesn't help the students because it's like a pushback to say it's still too pop, it's still too pop. But at the same time, there's no constructive comments about what my students should do to sound more classical. So be aware if you're in the presence of a teacher who kept giving you this kind of comments but do not give constructive suggestions on how you can improve. It could end up being a waste of time for you, because that's their best of like saying, like teaching you like it's too this, it's too that, it's too this, it's too that, but at the same time they can't tell you how to get to the other side. So yeah, just be careful about that. So it's not helpful when the teacher say it's too pop, it's too pop, it's still too pop, when actually it is his job to teach the student how to sound more classical, right? So when he kept harping on that point, it can end up looking bad on the teacher because he can't deliver anything else. It's his teaching that still results in her sounding pop. Anyway, so I had another student who was insulted by his prior teacher by saying comments like,
Hey, how your voice like that? Why you want to sing?
That is actually really demoralizing coming from an authority figure. Like, you look up to a singing teacher, and if the singing teacher says that, wow, you sound like that and you still want to sing, it can actually stop people from continuing singing lessons or even continuing singing. So luckily my student didn't give up, he continued with learning and finding other teachers. And be careful about teachers who give you remarks like that. It's not helpful and you should run. So you see me like sometimes smiling and laughing, because to me, it feels like it's not true. It doesn't feel real, even though these are real people whom I know and they told me these stories. But I want to share this with you in a light-hearted way because it's scary enough already. These are real stories. But I want you to know that self-esteem is very important for your singing expression, okay? So if you encounter any of these, negative energy teachers, please do yourself a service. They are not for you, okay? The next one is the scales skills-only teacher. Okay, so I actually have two encounters of people who have learned from the skills-only teacher. So the skills-only teacher, I know which brand of school they are from, and I know they are big on singing skills. In fact, they are super expensive. I would say easily twice or 2.5 times my rate. But what happens is you walk into a vocal lesson and you sing scales for 45 minutes, maybe 60 minutes, okay? And how do I know about all these, okay? Because obviously my students came to me after that, and that's how I got to know, oh, you mean that's all you did? Like, and I usually like to ask, if you had singing lessons before having lessons with me, I want to know what you've already learned so that I don't need to repeat from the start, and waste your time and waste my saliva. So I want to know, but I realized that the skills only teacher usually do not teach techniques, okay? They really just go through scales, and I think they are usually more involved with the tongue and larynx kind of thing, because I had two students, and not two students, I had one student coming to me saying that he doesn't know how to breathe, don't know where to support. The soft palate, he sort of know, but he doesn't really understand. So I think the emphasis weren't there. It was just scales and scales and scales and scales. There was no chance to even sing songs during the lessons. So I want to also let you know that somebody who can sing scales very well does not necessarily mean that he or she can sing a song well. Because you are just training the vocal cords to do the scales well, but there is no context in the execution. When we sing, right, there's a lot of different words and emotions, and songwriting is way more complex than scales. I know scales can be quite complex as well, but singing songs are really very different, okay? So scales is at best, like warm up and some kind of training, but eventually you need to be able to bring that knowledge into singing of songs, because you're not judged, assessed, on how good your singing of skills is. Eventually, yes, to a certain degree. If you can't sing your skills well, there's a lesser chance of you singing the songs well. However, you need to be able to sing songs so that the teacher can advise you what you don't do correctly from song to song, right? The next story I have about the skills-only teacher is that I was doing vocal producing for a singer celebrity. Actually, she's quite well known, and I know that she takes singing lessons from this particular teacher. And during the vocal producing, she was trying to sing a very low note, and I was trying to guide her. That's the whole idea about vocal producing. And I told her to raise the soft palate as she sings into the low notes. And then she asked me, sorry, what's soft palate? And I was like shocked, because she had been singing for at least a decade, and I know that she has been taking lessons from this particular skills-only teacher, and I thought that it shouldn't be an issue for her, So it just impressed upon me that teachers don't always teach the same things, okay? And to be honest, the fact that I'm putting myself out here, talking about all these, it may seem like I'm bashing other teachers. And I was so scared to say all this for so many years. And then I realized that what's stopping me from saying all these is just me trying to protect myself. And it's a very selfish energy, like I'm just trying not to get into trouble by not saying anything. But if I turn it around, and if I put these stories out there, actually a lot of people, if they know this information, a lot of people can actually save time, money. They can start to feel to have more agency, And I remember one of my students telling me that it's not the money that she invested, because she was learning from another teacher who couldn't bring her the results that she wanted. So to her, it's not about the money. It's more of the time, because she's already in her late 20s, and for women, if you're married, the next stage is to have children, and once the children come in, a lot of your dreams can really just go down the drain. And so to her, it's the time, and in her own words, money can be earned back, right? But time cannot be earned back. It's such a priceless commodity that people don't understand, especially if you're very young, okay? Anyway, so I realized that I need to start speaking about all these kind of things on my YouTube channel so that more people can benefit. And I shouldn't be selfish about like protecting myself anymore. And so if you like content like this, please do consider subscribing because then I'll feel more motivated to continue to do this, okay? Anyway, I want to give you a bonus with the last kind of teacher. Okay, so I know there's only 5, but this is the bonus one because I realized my brother had an experience. And so I call these teachers the Emotional-Karaoke-Only teacher. Okay, so my brother used to learn from this celebrity singing teacher who runs a music school, and being the principal, like the top teacher, they usually charge very expensively. But my brother had some lessons with him, and I was very curious because that was when I was way younger, and I was like really excited at, wow, yeah, they must be teaching so well, because they train superstars like this person, that person, and they're always there around this kind of superstars, vocal producing them. And when my brother told me that it's just him singing karaoke, again and again and again, I was actually really shocked because I was expecting way more. That, oh, you must be doing something right to have the ability to vocal produce or to train these celebrities, celebrity singers. But apparently he said that he just walked in the lesson, and there's a karaoke TV, and the teacher asked him to just repeat singing the same song over and over again, stopping him at some part to just tell him, oh, this part you should express it like that, So it's more of emotional management. There's no discussion about how he can sing his high notes better, or the breathing, like very minimal, things like that, techniques very minimal. So he ended up paying very expensive karaoke sessions with the celebrity teacher. So I don't know. I mean, I'm just putting this information out there to let you guys know that if you want to take vocal lessons, you need to expect more from your singing teachers, okay? It's never enough to just be talking about emotions, because you don't need emotions to sing the high notes. Maybe a little bit, but it's not just that, okay? So understand that you want to recognize the traits of these Halloween scary teachers or vocal lessons. And if you ever meet these kind of teachers, you must run. All right? So please do share with me your stories as well. I love stories. Okay, so leave your comments below and let me know your experiences taking vocal lessons. And do let me know too if you have experienced any good singing teachers, because it's about letting people know what are good singing lessons as well, or good singing teachers, okay? All right, thank you so much. Subscribe to membership for exclusives, and also my online academy is up. You can transform your singing after 4 months. The whole course is 4 months, where you get a downloadable textbook and tons of short videos where I explain the A to Z of singing, okay? Really from the scratch to the advanced level. All right? Okay, see you. Thank you for your time. Bye.